Okay, so that was these are some of the newest slot machines that have these bonus features. Now, many of the newest slot machines also have multi-tiered bonuses, and they are often divided into two categories. Especially on the newest slot machines, which will be coming out in 2016. Some of which have these skill-based elements in them.
Okay.
And usually those are in the bonus rounds, because in order to receive regulatory approval, the machines still have to be random. They're slot machines.
Yeah, right.
But when you hit the bonus rounds, like for example, you get the 3 circles that will take you to the bonus round, or whatever it might be. In the bonus round, on some of these newest slots, you will get a choice, and the choice will say random or skill.
Oh. Interesting.
And so you can choose to either play the machine at random, which means that the machine's program will determine the various features of the bonus rounds and how much you will get.
Petersburg, Russia. I guess
St. Petersburg, Russia. How do you say hello in Russian?
Yeah. Spell it out phonetically so we can say hello to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't write it in Cyrillic.
Yeah,
you can't read it. So you can get a choice of either random or skill.
Okay.
So if you press the button or display called random, then you see what it says?
It says LRL.
Oh, it's somebody else
Something
joined us.
yeah.
Right. So if you press the button called random, the machine will then play a random bonus feature the way that it would normally play on any standard machine which has bonus features in it.
Okay.
But if you press the skill element, then the machine will then go into what's called the skill-based mode.
Hi, Gita.
Which means that when you're playing that bonus round in the skill-based games, how good you are at that game will determine how much you will win and how often you will win. So, for example, if you're playing, say, say Pac-Man or Space Invaders, and you have a facsimile of that game in the skill bonus rounds, which you will very shortly have in a multitude of the old video games. The better you are at playing that particular game, the more you will win.
So basically, let me just give you. You tell me if I'm not speaking correctly. I'm playing my slot machine, and it's come up. Do you want to do random or skill? I hit skill, and I guess there'll be like a joystick there. And I'll be playing like a mini game of Pac-Man or Frog or something like that. And the better I am, hello Helen, the better I am, the more money I will win. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, that's it.
But I got to ask another question real quick. Is that some people are going to get really good at these games?
Right.
Now, won't that change the odds of the game in the player's favor?
Yes, it does. Now, that's the regulatory contentious issue right now at this point. And that's the reason why you are still not seeing these games so fully developed and so fully placed in the casinos. And the reason is because the regulators have not yet decided whether they will permit in some jurisdictions for these particular features to have a positive expectation value to it.
Right.
In other words, if somebody is really good at playing it, you could play it theoretically to a better payback percentage than a randomized game might be.
Exactly.
So let's say, for example, that the game pays back 92%.
Okay.
And you're in the bonus round, and you're really good, and you can play at 110%. So if it's 92, you add the 10% to it. So now you have a game that pays 2% more.
Right.
So now the game's overall payback percentage will be 102%, which incidentally is illegal in many jurisdictions in the United States.
No kidding.
In Nevada, it's not, but in other jurisdictions, the regulation is that no slot machine can pay back more than 99.99%.
Wow.
So they all have to be less than 100% payback machines. So that's one of the contentious issues. Now, the way it is being debated right now and possibly overcome is that the base game will be a lower payback percentage. For example, most of the penny, quote-unquote, slot machines currently pay back 88 or 86%.
Okay.
Which is usually around the average. Some pay 92 and so forth. With some of the better bonuses and the pay-for-play features, they pay better.
Okay.
But let's say that we take the average standard video slot machines in the quote-unquote penny denomination.
All right.
That pays back, say, 88%. Now, let's say that the manufacturer will put a skill-based feature into that particular module.
Right.
So in order to overcome the potentiality of somebody being really good at that particular game, they might drop the base game percentage to 82 or 80%.
Right.
in order to make up for the potential that some players who are good at that bonus will hit it so hard that they will actually exceed the 100% payback percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So when it is done at the end of the fiscal life cycle of the machine, when the accounting is done,
Right.
and you have the very good players who have done very well in the bonuses versus the average players who haven't done it, and you add it all together, the machine's lower base pay on the base game, combined with the bigger pay for the skilled players, will still equate a percentage less than 100% and go back to the average of the 88% payback overall.
Hi, Stephen. But here's the thing. So basically, it becomes as a term you used before, a top-heavy game.
Yes.
Whereas the person who sucks at a skill-based game, all right, is having this low payout on a slot machine. So basically, it sounds like they'd have less payouts, less bonuses coming up, because when they do come up, and then you got the skill, that's where it's going to compensate it, and that's where the casino will still make the same amount of money they were making before.
And as I said before, this is still a contentious issue in the industry because they still have to figure out how exactly to do this.
Yeah.
Because there's probably going to be a necessity for two different programs. For example, if you choose the dumb version, namely choose the random.
If you choose the random,
then the base game would probably still be at the 88%, and it would not alter. But if you choose the skill base, then the percentage of the base game would have to drop. But how are they going to do this?
hell yeah.
And that's the problem. And the reason why you're not seeing the fully skill-based games in the casinos as yet is because the regulators and the manufacturers have not yet figured out exactly how it is that they're going to configure the possibility of somebody being really good at them.
Yeah.
Now, there is a historical precedent to this, and I can mention it. It has to do with blackjack. Now, in 1962, Edward O. Thorpe published a book called Beat the Dealer, in which he showed that mathematically, by doing what's called card counting, a skilled blackjack player can turn the tables, so to speak, against the casino and create from blackjack a positive expectation game, meaning that they can make more money out of it than the casino's percentage could.
Right.
Now later on, Julian Brown developed a mathematical profile of blackjack, which later became known as basic strategy, which standardized the rules of how to be able to play blackjack to as best an optimal percentage of payback, which is about 0.5% house edge. Later on, various card counting strategies, the high-low count, for example, was developed, which then gave very skilled players a 1 to 2% or more edge over the casino. Now, during the period between 1962 and about 1970, casinos were so afraid that players would absolutely clean them out by being so good at playing blackjack, they started to curtail and cut the rules of the game so much so that they nearly entirely killed casino blackjack as we now know it. And so players then started to stay away from the game because it was just becoming, idiotic.
Right.
With all these stupid rules. Eventually, the casinos finally dawned onto them that out of all of the players who love to play blackjack, and most people do,
right,
80% of all people will play blackjack in a casino.
Right.
Only less than 1% of them can actually play it skillfully enough to be any kind of a danger to the casino. And of that 1%, less than 1% can actually do it. So out of all of the pool of hundreds of millions of blackjack players, a very, very tiny percentage were so skilled that they could actually do it to what the theory says.
Right.
Now, this is the same principle now being applied to skill-based slot machines.
But this is
the question.
The problem is going to be is that for the past 20, 30 years, we have generations of people, kids to adults now, where video games are a huge part of our society.
Exactly. So the question then becomes, which kinds of video games? And the kinds of video games we're putting in are the old Atari games.
The old Atari games.
From the arcades, which are from the 80s, which are our generation. and not the new generation of Warcraft or Call of Duty and so forth.
Okay.
Which are in fact coming. At the recent G2E Global Gaming Expo, to which I attended, there was a tank battle game with a joystick on an armchair where you shoot down tanks and so forth, and you have combat and you win. It's an excellent game, and that is the next generation of the games, which are basically kind of like your home video game, your Xbox and so forth. But the kind of games you are going to see as part of Slot Machines bonuses are usually the old arcade game, which are, Frogger I mentioned, which is Centipede, which is Space Invaders, which is Pac-Man, and so forth. All of these old games are going to be showing up in there. Now, you can still be good at it. I was excellent at Space Invaders.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to the games with the Space Invaders.
Oh, absolutely.
But the thing is that the manufacturers and the regulators are still debating as to exactly how to handle these extra good skill-based players.
I'll bet.
And I haven't played Space Invaders since it went off the air about 25 years ago.
Right.
So I don't expect to be good at it. Besides, the older you get, your reflexes don't get so good anymore. But the point of the new slot machines is that you will now have an opportunity to be able to practice your skills and directly affect how well you do in the bonus rounds. So the issue then becomes is, will you be able to actually do it the way that you ought to be able to play to your maximum personal potential? And will the regulators allow this? And so in Nevada they will. In Nevada you can play as skillful as you are, because the casinos in Nevada are not that afraid. They've learned their lesson from the blackjack. They're not going to kill the goose that lays the golden eggs, because 99.99% of all players will simply not be that good. But of that fractional percentage, some will be excellent. So if you want to practice, you actually will have a shot in Nevada. Other jurisdictions still up in the air, and this will take several years before it is finally implemented. But in 2016, some of these games will be coming up, and I will have them in Volume 3, and I already have some in Volume 2 of my book, Great Casino Slots. So that's any other questions about that?
No, I think we're all set.
All right, so that was our game, our show about the newest slots and the pay-for-play principle. And so this is Las Vegas Live, and we broadcast every Thursday on Periscope. You can catch up on our old episode at LasVegasLiveTV.com. If you'd like more information about casino games and other things, join me on my website at morecasinodeals.com. So until next time from Las Vegas, this is Vegas Vic and Ziggy. Say goodbye, Ziggy.
Goodbye, Ziggy.
See you in the casino. So long.